Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another premiere draft of Modern Horizons 3, so without further ado, let's get into the Pack 1 Pick 1. I'm just going to grab a Territory Color here. I think it's the strongest mono-colored card. It is just some beef, a 7/5 reach for 5 that also has a good card advantage ability attached. Just by playing lands, you're potentially drawing some extra creatures, so pretty great card here. And there's not much competing out of the mono card stuff. There's mediocre removal with Thraben Charms. I mean, they're fine if you're already in white. You need some removal. Hydra's a fine filler, top end card. But that's it for mono colored cards. And then Riddlegate Gargoyle's pretty good, but I think not quite strong enough to take over just a really solid mono colored spell. So take Territory Color there to start things off. And for pack 1, pick 2, we have some landscapes, I guess. Unfathomable Truths is decent card draw for blue. Kind of it. Pretty empty, pretty weak pack. I'm not very pumped about this one. It's Unfathomable Truths or a random landscape. Only one of these landscapes has green, and it's blue. And it's white, black, green, which is not really a color trio that I like when I'm playing Eldrazi ramp kind of stuff. That's really green, blue, red, where these landscapes aren't super helpful, because we're probably green, red, or green, blue, and either way, the landscape's just not doing anything. I guess I just take Unfathomable Truths at that point. Not pumped about that one. Pick 3. No good Eldrazi cards here. No good green cards, really. I mean, Hydra's fine filler. We could take that. We could also take this Conduit Goblin towards a backup plan, moving towards Boros Energy if the Eldrazi stuff is getting cut here. This is pretty reasonable. I think this is considerably better than the strongest mono-colored cards in the pack, so we can get a little speculative on this one. Scurrilous Sentry, I think, is my favorite mono-colored card. I like it a little more than Hydra, just because green has a lot of good top-end cards, so the Hydra feels a little more replaceable. But I'm going to go a little speculative on that one. Start establishing a little energy backup plan, and there's Area Auxiliary, which is incredible for any white aggressive deck. We do finally see one card that works pretty well towards a green deck that's trying to play some Eldrazi, and that is Horrific Assault. If I really want to force the Territory Color, I can take Assault and try to stay in that direction, but really have not seen any like goodies here. I think I want to try moving towards the Conduit Goblin direction, since we got past a Conduit Goblin, got past an Auxiliary. These are tiny signals, but that's more than we've seen towards Eldrazi, at least. Yeah, I'm going to take the Auxiliary here. Gargoyle is another decent sign for aggressive energy stuff, seeing Goblin and Gargoyle. Alright, pick 5. Well, here's some Eldrazi, but there's also the perfect kind of card for us here to help us hedge our bets. Solar Transformer is really good in basically any deck. A 2-mana Mana Rock is decent for pretty much anything when it taps for mana of any color, but it's particularly good in either of the paths that we're headed right now, and either of the paths that you're almost always going to be drafting this format, which is an Eldrazi ramp deck. Well, here's your ramp. Or an energy deck. Well, here's some energy. So really nice, really flexible card. Pretty perfect here. A lot of Watchdogs being open in these packs, so we could always mix our, not really our peanut butter with our jelly, mix something weird, mix our ice cream with our pizza or something, and do our green Eldrazi card and our white aggro card together. Faithful Watchdog is the glue to hold that together. Maybe I do that if those start wheeling, but I don't like taking Watchdogs super early. So pick 6, Voidcraw and Dryad towards Eldrazi ramp. Dryad a little more flexible, since it's for any green deck, instead of just green-blue. Yeah, Siege Smash is not good enough to take highly towards Boros aggro here, so we'll take the Nightshade Dryad pretty easily. Brood-Scale's fine too, but I think Dryad's a bit better. Death Touch in any color of mana. Pretty sweet. Pick 7 is pretty bad. Winget's fine as a combat trick for any white aggressive strategy. And the rest of the pack is very filler. I mean, Winget is very filler too, but hey, pick 8 Conduit Goblin. I think I have found my direction I would like to lock in on. We got a pretty late Nightshade Dryad, but pick 8 Conduit Goblin is certainly something. The rest of the pack is red. Not that they're super playable cards, but it's It's worth noting. Pick 9 Thraben Charm. There were 2 Thraben Charms in this pack, but that's still not bad for us. I don't really like splashing in the more aggressive, like, energy decks. So I don't love splashing towards Emissary here. Rather grab a Thraben Charm. Get a Skyclaw. Skyclaw, pretty filler, but fine filler for this deck. This looks super reasonable as a starting point. Yeah. Wanted to be Eldrazi off the bat. Didn't see any of the great Eldrazi cards. Saw some fine ones later. But kind of get moved over to Boros. I guess I could take that Active Treason Devil thing, but it's never played super well for me. I've been destroyed by it before, but every time I try to play it, it ends up just being a pretty bad card. Alright, I get another chance at the Infernal Captor. We'll take that one. If we don't make playables, then it will be in the deck. Pack 2, pick 1. Don't think we're splashing or veering direction for Sorin. 2 of our best cards are Boros specifically, which ties us into both of the colors. We could try to pivot to black-white. Sorin would be fun, but Unstable Amulet is just a very, very nice value engine for an aggressive energy deck. You're pinging your opponent as you're casting more spells off the top. Consistent card draw. Yeah, we just take Amulet. If Amulet were in there, I would take Sorin and maybe try to have a black-white backup plan. Glyph Elemental is excellent. This thing is just huge. For only 2 mana, this ends up being a 4-4 or a 5-5 really, really easily. So your opponent kind of needs to have early removal for it, or it is fighting way, way above its mana value. Pick 3. Another Unstable Amulet's kind of awesome. Double them up here. I don't know if I can take that over Fang Flames or Thraben Charm for reasonable removal, but I'm going to. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to here. We do want a lot of interaction in this archetype. This pack is bad for us. There's like green removal spells and that's it. And we're not green. I guess we take a glimpse. I'm certainly not playing Frogmere Enforcer. I guess I've got 2 artifacts towards the affinity. That's something. 3 artifacts with the Solar Transformer as well. Another Imskier. Our rare from our opening pack is back. And he's still bad. Well, now we can take the removal. Since I took Amulets over it, we grab a Thraben Charm over the Skyclaw. Inventor's Axe is a fine combat trick for energy-focused decks. You usually just like play it as the combat trick and have some energy behind for other stuff later. And then Sundering Eruption can randomly end games. I'm perfectly fine with that as well. Really, really nice against the Eldrazi decks that establish their Chrysalis on board with a bunch of spawns and everything, and you're like, well, how am I ever getting through that? It gives you a backup plan of, well, I could top deck a Sundering Eruption and then they just die. So it helps you with one of your worst matchups, which is the Chrysalis matchup. Play 2 of them, just play them over mountains here. We're going to be the more aggressive deck. I think we're going to afford to shoot ourselves for 3 to play these untapped. Void Pouncer, 2 mana, 3/1, sure. Infernal Captor. I'm not playing any landscapes in just a 2-color deck. I guess, since I've got a Void Pouncer now, I guess I could, but 2-color, pretty aggressive deck. We really need more creatures here. The non-creature spells are getting passed around to us pretty well, but the creatures are just non-existent. Pick 11 Malevolent Rumble. Well, that's awkward. Okay, I basically need to spend like every pick of the last pack on a creature. Ideally. There's one. This is a lot of 4-drops though. Really don't love that. Skyclaw's like a fine card. It plays pretty bad though because of just how good Auxiliary is. Right, like there's just better cards to take at the mana value. Okay, pack 3, pick 1. Hexgold Slith for a 2-drop creature. We're not a deck that wants to Wrath, because we're going to be the one with more permanents on board. Wrath is way better in slower decks. It's still a powerful card, but I am desperate for creatures, so I'm taking Hexgold Slith. Galvanic Discharge is excellent, but yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 creatures, and 5 of them are 4 mana. I need creatures badly enough to take something like a Vangel or Kite here. I'm going to take a Vangel, actually. This card is like a wombo combo with Auxiliary. If you get to play this on 2 and then Auxiliary on 4, the Auxiliary gets to support, put 2 counters on the board, and then trigger a Vangel and proliferate those counters, which is really gross. Okay, I'll take a 3 mana 3/3 Menace now, just to up that creature count. It's the only on-color creature. And it'll be our first 3-drop, which is actually good. Alright, here's another 3-drop. Seems important for us. Envoy of the Ancestors. We don't have a ton of modified creatures. We've got Glyph Elemental and Hexgold Slith. And then we have Area Auxiliary and some Skyclaws. We've got enough that this isn't, like, unplayable. And we need creatures bad, so I'm going to take it over Indebted Spirit to even out the mana curve a little more. And then here's Solstice Zealot, which is pretty perfect. It's a 3-drop creature that also gives us some energy, taking it over a reasonable removal spell of Razorgrash Ambush. Now there are no creatures for us in this pack, so we can take another Thraben Charm. There's 25 cards right now. I think I cut the glimpse. Here's another Hexgold Slith. Over Static Prison's a little sad, but I have Triple Charm. There's 24 cards. I guess the Eruptions are both lands, and we're going to cut lands 1 for 1 for those. So this is 23 non-lands. So now every time we take a card, we cut 1. I'm not going to play a 4th Thraben Charm. I also don't think I'm going to play a Siege Smash, so I'm going to rare draft this Ruby Medallion, in case they ever put Storm on Arena. Now we have our millionth 4-drop, or our first 5. 4 artifacts, 1 enchantments. Rosecott Knight might not be completely unplayable. It's certainly quite filler. But we're looking for filler at this point. Oh, wow. Pick 10 Fanged Flames. As much as I'm looking for creatures, I now have 16. I don't think I'm taking Simulacrum over Fanged Flames. I might play Indebted Spirit over the Rosecott Knight just for lower curve. Or one of the 4-drops, like one of the Captors here. Maybe both. I could probably cut both. Yeah, this would be a 16 land deck. Sure. 16 land deck and just get in there. Alright, here we are on the play with an excellent hand. Double Amulet's really funny. I don't know if it's actually very good, though. I mean, we get to do, like, extra damage, I guess, but... probably not activating both in one turn or anything like that. No! My goblin has been withered and bloomed. Boggart Trawler. Goodbye forever, goblin. Glyph Elemental. No lands in hand is just not good. Let's see if I can amulet into the land. Because I get to exile the card. As long as it remains exiled, I can play it. I don't have to hit something castable here. Unless they blow up the amulet. Perfect. Let's go. Airy Auxiliary, just one other creature on board. Then in the 4/2, we can charm the Auxiliary now. There's land for turn, but I could also hit one off Amulet. I don't hate that. I don't love it, but I certainly don't hate it. If I find a mountain off this Amulet, I could do a lot of things here. Might be extra greedy. Alright, well. I was gonna say, is there an indicator for which one has the axe under it? Yes, there is. So if our opponent does have something to blow up an artifact, they can figure out which one. No! Johnny Fell's the Godsire is really, really good removal. That's multiple 2-for-1 removal spells from our opponent. Wither and Bloom, not too much. You just get a +1/+1 counter from it, but the Johnny Fell's the Godsire one's really good. Alright. Probably have to Thraben Charm this Trawler just to get damage in rather than blowing up this before they get the 2/1 body from it, because they're at 10 here, and we get 5 in by killing the Trawler. But we'll see what we get off Amulet thanks to the Axe mana. Alright, well, now I can Skyclaw next turn, which is something. That's a little more damage, which is also something. Put them to 4. That does leave them dead to just a couple Amulet casts. Maybe double Amulet is actually a thing. Just for the machine guns that we get going here. Ooh. I'd be tapped out of doing any Amulet stuff if I have Angel first. I mean, the Proliferate's gotta be worth it though, right? Because it means 4 energy off of Skyclaw, which is enough to use Amulets twice. Alright, they're just gonna concede. We have too much just chicanery going on over here. Why did... Better Call Saul, you've ruined me. That's not what chicanery means. But it's just such a fun word. Alright, we're 1-0. Let's hop into another game. Time for game 2, Electric Boogaloo. We need this Amulet to hit a white source if we're a gambling man. We are on the draw. Let's gamble it up. Let's gamble it up. If I lose to not drawing a plains, that's cool. Uh-oh. Opponent has a very nice start. The blue-black deck with the most important card for the archetype. Sneaky Snacker combo is what it's all about. There's a lot of excellent ways to use the card. All the draw a card, discard a card stuff just goes way up in value when you're discarding snackers. There's ways to sacrifice it that are really good. It's very, very consistent to reanimate it from grave, so it also just holds back our attacks here, which is rough. Plains. Uh-oh. No plains in the top 11? Is not good. I mean, we knew there were none in the top 7 when we kept the hand, but none in the top 4 after that is pretty bad. They're tuning it up. Brain Surge. Yeah, there's just tons of excellent card draw in blue in the format. They're just going to be loaded up here since our start's pretty slow. They're not really under any pressure. Oh, and the 1-mana Demon Inferior. Not a Plains, so I'm putting that on the bottom. That is sort of a Plains. I guess it's going to give us white mana one time if I use 2 energy for Amulet, but that's probably good enough. Let this charm stay gone forever. To try to turn it into a Plains? Nope, that's a mountain. It gives me 2 energy. I can Conduit Goblin, go for another Amulet draw. We're digging deep now. We dug an extra 7 cards at this point. Yikes. I mean, I do have more white mana off Inventor's Axe with Solar Transformer, but it's only 1 white a turn still. Obviously drawn into some more white spells like Hexgold Slith here. We might just die to 2 sneaky snackers before we find a Plains. Serum Visionary. Some more card draw, some more setup. And get this mana investment out of the way. I'm just getting the 2 energy, really. Don't really care about the effect of the equipment itself. Just need the energy. Another white spell. They definitely have a removal spell or a counter spell up for auxiliary. I don't play a flyer, I'm going to 8. That's fine. I honestly think I'm just still on the Plains quest. Please. Plains. No. That's another dig. And again, I still get to cast 1 white spell a turn right now. I don't mind Conduit Goblin for Visionary here. We're just not going to be using any energy for any haste triggers on Conduit Goblin, so it's basically a 2/2 no text. Yep, Deep Analysis draw 2. Any other energy production in the hand here? No. I can't even Amulet again. 2 more Snacker Swings gets us. We can play an Auxiliary, or I can Thraben Charm a Snacker that's just going to come back anyway. Or I can, like, wing it one of my blockers up, like wing it a precursor. Feels like any of these lines is just going to get interacted with. These are just all spells, because they've set up their draws throughout the game, because we sat here doing nothing, so they had plenty of time to do that. Could wing it to save that, but then I'm not winging it on blocks. Alright, show me one of your infinite pieces of interaction you probably have off of all the card draw. Sure. And if I played auxiliary, they just do that to auxiliary and we still don't block anything. If I Thraben Charmed, they deep analysis post-combat and get it right back. Oh my god. I genuinely did not expect my prediction of dying to 2 sneaky snackers before we hit a plains to be accurate, because it's so immensely statistically improbable. 8 white sources in the deck. And none of them in the top 18 out of 40. Them's the breaks. That's magic, baby. Alright, here we are for game 3. We're 1-1 right now. A 2-lander on the draw is very reasonable for this deck. We've also got an excellent curve of Spirit into Goblin. Now it's Spirit into Goblin into Hasty Slith. Even if we don't hit any lands. But we would really prefer to, and there we go. Because we have excellent 4-drops. Well, we have 1 excellent 4-drop. The auxiliary is awesome. Thriving Skyclaw is okay. Playing against blue-red energy. They're on the play with the mana ramp turn 2, so they've got 4-drops coming down while we have 2 lands on board. That's always terrifying. Serum Visionary is the play, though. Not so bad. It's definitely not good for us, because it's a 2-for-1. Our opponent draws a card and clears out one of our creatures. That's big enough to clear out anything here. Static Prison, the Conduit Goblin. Fair enough. Just play another one, so that if I hit the mana for Auxiliary, we get to haste that thing out. And if not, we get to haste our next creature out regardless. Those actually give me Indebted Spirit attacks, too. Which is something, because the Spirit is like our only creature that we could 1-for-1 trade into Visionary and not feel that bad about it, because we get a creature back, so basically both got a little 2-for-1, balances out to an even trade. It's another flyer for +1/+1 counters with Auxiliary. Ral. Well, that's probably very bad for me.
Chance of storms today? 100%.
Okay, so if they ever win a flip, they get a Planeswalker. That can deal 2 to any 2 targets, divided as they choose. Okay, luckily they lost both flips, so that feels just really lucky in general. I can haste out the Slith, or I can just attack in holding up a Winged and just hope they block. This feels infinitely more likely to kill Ral, so I'm going to do this. And it did kill Ral. So they're down to 2 cards in hand. Oh no, maybe it doesn't. They've got Discharge too. Aether Spike? Oh, I was going to say, how do they have Aether Spike for 1? Because Ral. Yeah, that's real good. They only had 1 mana up, so I'm like, well, they could have Discharge, that'd be bad, but they can't really have anything else. That's a lie. 1 mana's enough for the tune. Oh, this is ridiculous. What is that? The 3rd Tails? Come on, 4th Tails. Wow. Our opponent's so lucky. This is stupid. Can't believe they'd get heads there. Actually whitelisted opponent here. Arena's on their side.
Testing is ahead of schedule.
What do you even do with this? Kill any creature I ever play. That has 2 or less toughness. Draws cards if they have more blue permanents, but they don't yet. Yeah, if they get the 8 loyalty, they probably win, but it's going to be pretty easy to keep them off of. Oh yeah, the 8 loyalty ability, the ultimate is an ultimate. Cast all the instant sorceries in the top 8 for free. So we need to keep Ral off of the 8, but until then we just need to not play 2 toughness or less cards, and Ral doesn't do too much. If they get a blue permanent, Ral does a good amount. Just sitting there drawing a card every other turn with the -2. It's pretty big. Alright, Galvanic Discharge, goodbye, Solstice Zealot.
Supercharged.
Yeah, it looks like they're just trying to get to the ult here. Wow, our hand is actually really bad against Ral. Ral's minus is so good here. Any of these just die. Well, if I could afford them in the first place. Oh, there's the blue permanent, so now Ral draws cards every time he minuses as well. Minuses? Yeah, so they're just gonna draw cards.
Lightning always strikes twice.
That's hilarious.
Failure finds me even here.
Uh-oh. 7/5? They don't double spell, then it only hits me once, but it's still a 7/5. No, not the triple white when I need double red. Yikes. I don't want to play a 3/3 flyer with no abilities. I'm just going to play the 3/3 on the ground. They have to cast 2 spells here. Okay, Combat Trick is fine. That's a 1-for-1 trade. Trade our 1 captor into their 1 wing it. We both spent a card here. In card economy, it's fine. On board, we're pretty dead, but we got really slowed down by mana and Ral. 1 blocker, and then they just menace the whale and kill us. Alright, that's dead no matter what. Alright, here we are for game 4. We are currently 1-2. So this could be our final game of Magic. At least then we get to go back to the drawing board, get another deck nice and quick. Draft did not work out super well. We got some pretty clear Boros energy signals in the first pack, and then just really didn't get paid off in the future packs. So ended up being just pretty mediocre Boros energy. So don't love how the draft has gone. The gameplay though, both of our losses, I mean, just kind of got outclassed in hard quality and draws. We drew bad mana in our first loss and second loss as well. It took us a very long time to hit land 4 while we were getting demolished by Ral, the mythic planeswalker. So there's definitely some rough variance involved, but the draft itself also did not go well. I don't think this deck is great. So we'll see. We are also on the draw again. I think we've been on the draw in pretty much every game. So that's another little bit of variance that's working against us here. No, we were on the play in one game at least, if I remember right. +1/+1, right? Yeah. And now the Slith is modified, even if it doesn't get the +1/+1 counter, so Envoy is definitely decent. It also just flames the Gatekeeper, since it does have a graveyard ability. Just fully exiling that would have been a fine play. Well, I guess I don't have the red source until I play the Transformer. Disregard my foolish lines of commentary. Well, that's sad. Goodbye, Slith. Playing against full 3-color energy. Kind of think I have to skip a turn here and just set up the Transformer with the way the mana is. The mana has been really, really bad. We're on an 8-8 split, 16 land deck. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on there. Just RNGesus is angry at us. Super close to dead against Gatekeeper with an Eldrazi spawn deck. Only have to flames the Gatekeeper. I mean, they're down to 2 cards in hand, so if I like flames the Gatekeeper and charm the Brood Scale, every actual threat on their board is dead. And then I just have to worry about their last 2 cards. Hopefully they're just lands and they're flooding. That would be Magical Christmas Land for us. Yeah, I think I'd just do this while they're tapped out. I mean, they're not technically tapped out. They have a bunch of colorless mana, but there are very few colorless instants in the format. I think there's only one, and it's a rare. Alright, what kind of follow-through they got here? Another Glimpse, but this time they don't have the Gatekeeper to shoot us for a bunch, so they have to actually just use it as card draw, which... It's Malevolent Rumble, which hits... Oh, it's Evolution Witness too? Oh my god, that's so bad. So they can pick up Evolution Witness and then pick up Chrysalis with the Evolution Witness and just have the strongest common in the formats. The bomb rare level common. They do just go straight for the Chrysalis, which is also fair. Because they want to get full value off of their Glimpse and play both the spells that hit, the Brood Scale and the Rumble, which means that they might not have the mana next turn to play and crack the Witness, or play and adapt the Witness, and then also play the Chrysalis. I mean, they would with these spawn tokens, but then they're sacking a bunch of spawns before they play Chrysalis, which is never good. Never ideal. Okay, so... I don't even really know here. Play Goblin and Slith for the most creatures, or do I just play Envoy and try to set up some lifelink before Chrysalis starts ripping my soul apart? I mean, this is just going to be a single 3/4 lifelink, or we can't modify these. I don't know, we just have a bunch of pretty pretty unimpactful options against what's going to be an 8/9. Yeah, Chrysalis is just going to do Chrysalis things here. It's an 8/9 minimum. If they adapt Brood Scale, then it's going to be a 9/10. We need to find Dog Umber to deal with it. I don't even remember if we had a Dog Umber in this one, in this deck. No, we don't have a Dog Umber in this deck, so our deck literally can't deal with a Chrysalis. That's not good. Because I can't attack through it because it has reach. I can't go wide around it because they have a million spawns. I can't outsize it because they can make it a 9/10. And this is why Chrysalis is busted. Whoop. Well, as I was saying before, I think this deck is a pretty mediocre build of Boros Energy. So it's fair we lose a lot of games here. It's been a while since we've had a negative win rate draft, below a 3/3 kind of thing, so we'll take our beatings here. I think it was mainly just like a misread of the draft pod left us with a lower value deck. Yeah, I mean, we saw like pick 8 Conduit Goblins and headed in that direction. Looked like the best path to be on pack 1, but really didn't pan out that way in the future packs. We got like no good follow-up creatures, so we ended up with some mediocre filler like Void Pouncer, Precursor. I mean, this whole hand, none of these are good synergy cards for Boros Energy. Aggro, the Spirit isn't either. We've got a lot of pretty mediocre filler in the deck, but on top of that, a lot of really, really bad mana draws, in literally all 3 of our losses now. So, a lot went wrong today. I don't think we drafted super well, and we certainly did not draw super well. I don't think we really had opportunities to play particularly well. We have not had enough mana to really make a lot of decisions gameplay-wise. Yeah, I mean, we have nothing in our whole deck that's ever going to kill this Chrysalis, which means we're not going to attack through it. They have 2 reach creatures now. Can modify some cards to try to get some lifelink, but it would be off of chump attacks or chump blocks. I'm just going to move on. This deck is over. 1 and 3 it'll be. I don't know if that's the worst I've ever done in this format. Probably not, because the format's been around so long, right? I have to have 0-3'd at some point, or at least 1-3'd at some other time, but it certainly feels the worst. This deck did not play out very well. This draft didn't work very well. I'm not sure what alternate line we should have hopped in on to jump ship off the double Conduit Goblin towards Boros aggro. We started seeing some pretty solid Eldrazi stuff pack too, so maybe some weird pivot to like red-green Eldrazi would have been fine. But we didn't see any of the massive payoffs for that deck either. We did start with a Territory Color and a Nightshade Dryad, so that probably was our best backup plan here. Is to stick to red, still get to play our... I mean, I guess we don't really, because all of our red cards were like energy specific. At least most of them. Yeah, I guess try to stick on green with what we saw in pack 2 would have ended with the best deck. Yeah, I don't think this deck is as bad as it played out, but it's certainly got a lot of more mediocre filler in it. You know, non-synergistic filler. I mean, Skyclaws are fine in energy. But, like, I mean, all of our 2-drops look, like, quite nice. Our interaction's not terrible. Yeah, just a combination of things, like I said. We're on the 8-8 split mana-wise, but we hit pretty bad mana. We saw very clear Boros Energy Signals pack 1, and they didn't pan out to getting a super fleshed out deck where we're running a lot of fillers. That makes the deck pretty weak. So, in terms of things we could have done, I guess we could have mulliganed more aggressively, and we could have jumped ship off of Boros in pack 2 when we saw a bit more Eldrazi moving around. We could have tried to jump back onto green towards that. Probably end up with a bit better of a deck. I don't think this draft pod ends up with a super good deck, though, because at that point off the pivot, we're going to end up with some filler in the Eldrazi deck as well, just because of the sheer quantity of cards we'd be able to pick up. Would not quite make up 23 good playables out of just like 2 packs of taking Eldrazi cards. Yeah, kind of just a bit of a nightmare draft at 1 and 3 for a lot of reasons. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for supporting the channel, as well as you for watching the videos. If you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.